This is the inside of the 2021 Elddis Majestic 196. If we firstly come to the main control panel, we can turn the 12 volt on just here. Once we've done that, we can then turn the water pump on and off just here. We need the water pump on to be able to get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained down. Whenever the water pump is in operation, the green light will come on to let you know. Next we have all the lights on and off. They can all then be individually turned on and off on their own switches. Awning light on and off. Condition of leisure battery, and how much water is in the fresh tank. If we now drop down to the whale control panel for the heating and hot water, and we start with the water heater just here, you'll see as I press the button, icons will appear and they go round in a circle. So if we start with a little picture of a snowflake, this is the boiler's frost protection mode. So if you're not necessarily heating up hot water, but you are using the van in cold climate, you can put this on here and it will avoid any frost damage to the boiler. Next we have a single wavy line. Wavy lines represent main supply. I always round it up, so I class that as mains electricity using about 1 kilowatt. Then we have mains electricity using about 2 kilowatts. So this is dependent on the amperage of the site you're on. We then have gas on its own, and then we have dual fuel. So we have gas and mains at 1 kilowatt and gas and mains at 2 kilowatts. These particular settings here are extremely handy, especially in the winter months if you want to get up to temperature nice and quickly, or if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other. Whenever the water heater is consuming gas, a little picture of a gas flame will appear where my finger is here. If there's a problem in any shape or form with either it lighting on gas or an electricity problem, a red exclamation mark will appear beneath where that flame has just appeared. To find out what the actual problem is, just press the water heater button and then you'll get a series of little red lights appear along the bottom there, and then within the manual, or if you Google it, it will tell you what the problem is. Once you think you've rectified the problem, you will need to reset the control panel, and the way we do that is, if it's a water heater problem, just hold the button down here and press plus, or if it's a heating problem, press the heating one and again press plus. As you can see now, we're running on dual fuel, and we've got the little flame there to let us know that we are using gas. If I now press again, we can now turn the water heater back off again. If we now move to the heating, again you'll see that we go round in a big giant circle until we end up back at off. If we start with the first one, again wavy line, mains electricity, but this time at about 500 watts. 2 wavy lines, 1 kilowatt, and 3 wavy lines, 2 kilowatts. We then have gas on its own again, and then dual fuel. Control the temperature just here. We have night mode, which will roughly keep the motorhome at about 12-13 degrees. And then we have frost protection mode, which will warm it up to about 5-6 degrees. And then back to off again. If we now come to the passenger seats just here, and we just remove the cushions, we can now drop down the front. You will see that we have the consumer unit just here. So we have the main trip switches. So we've got all the individual MCBs just here, and then they're labelled up along the bottom to let you know what they are. We then have main RCD and test button just here. So if anything's not working on main supply, just check to see whether or not you've tripped. We then have the 12 volt fuses all along the bottom, and again they are all labelled up. So if something's not working on 12 volt, just check to see whether or not you've blown a fuse. And then tucked down here we have the fresh and waste tank heater button. So at the moment it's in the on position. So if there's water in the tanks and the outside temperature drops below about 3-4 degrees, the tank heaters will come on to avoid any frost damage. This can obviously be overridden and turned off so they never come on at all. We have the back of the battery box just here, and the main 12 volt fuse just there. If we now just put the cushions back, underneath this passenger seat we just have storage, and exactly the same again underneath this bench seat. As we move along, we have the microwave. This will only work when hooked up to main supply. Do make sure the plate is removed for travel. We have quick start just here and stop, and then we have the normal power settings, wait time, etc. just there. The hob has an electric hot plate, which again works on main supply and operates just here. We then have 3 gas rings. So if we now push in, twist and push the igniter, and beneath that we then have the grill. It's the same again, just twist, push in and ignite. And then lastly the oven. If we now flat back down again, you will see that we have the control here for the electric drop down bed. Turn the key and then up and down just here. It'll automatically stop once it's down to the correct position. Ladder just hooks on just here. You'll see tucked in that corner there, a light switch is now in view and a 3-pin socket. The light switch will do the 2 lights just up here. And again, it will automatically stop when it's in the correct position. If we now come to the washroom, we have the basin and shower. The toilet itself, the bowl swivels, open to the cassette just here, and then push to flush just here. Close this cassette back up again. Do make sure this is closed when removing the cassette from the outside, because if it's left open it just will not come out. level indicator just on the top here, so this will illuminate when the cassette needs emptying. Above my head, just here, we have the Omnivent fan. So if we now wind the roof vent open, and then we literally have power on and extraction and cooling, variable fan speed, just by pressing. Do make sure that all roof vents are shut for travel. Smoke alarm and carbon monoxide alarm just there. All require batteries, so just check them from time to time. Also check the PIR sensor for the alarm. Again, this requires batteries. If we now come to the Dometic fridge, you'll see at the moment it's currently off. We have the little picture of the 2-pin plug for main supply. We then have the battery, which is 12-volt maintain. This will keep the fridge cold whilst on the move. The engine does need to be running. And then lastly we have gas. If you are going to use the fridge on gas, you need to come across to the temperature control just here, hold it in and push the igniter. What we then want is this line here to drift out of the white into the green. As soon as we turn it back, it will automatically put itself back out again. Push down to open. We then have the fridge and the removable freezer box just here. This motorhome is fitted with an Avtex television. So to turn the TV on as normal, this is a travel television, so it's made easier for changing locations. It has a quick fast retune button. All you literally need to do is, once you've got your TV aerial up, is literally hold the retune button down just here, and it will take you straight back to the retune menu, and then just hit OK. Everything else is relatively normal. You have your TV guide just here, etc. This does have a DVD player as well, and USB plug-in points as well. The television aerial itself for it is located in the wardrobe. So we have the actual booster box just there, control the boost on the inner dial. We then have on and off just here, and the television aerial itself is just here. At the moment the mast is up. It does need to be down for travel. It does move all about to get it into the correct position for the best signal. Never over tighten this collar, as you can split it. Also in here is the solar panel regulator. It will just smart charge the leisure battery as it's required. We have also the freestanding table. If we now just remove the cushions from this bench seat, and we now lift up, you'll see we have storage beneath, and we also have the water pump just there, and we also have tucked in that corner there the intake for the heater. This front can also be dropped down as well. If we now replace the cushions and remove them from the opposite side, and again we now lift up, again we have storage underneath here. We also have the back of the gas locker. We then also have the location of the boiler. So the boiler on these particular motorhomes is sunk underneath. To drain the boiler down for winterization, it's just done on this yellow lever here. It's currently in the closed position. To drain the water out of the boiler, make sure the water pump's turned off, and then twist across like so. To refill it back up again, put it back to the closed position, fill up the fresh water tank, turn the water pump on, and it will begin to prime it back up again. When draining down, especially for full winterization, I always advise that you also open up all of the taps inside the motorhome. This will release any airlocks in the system and aid in draining down. When filling back up again, make sure that you close them all down to begin with, turn the water pump on, let a bit of water get into the boiler, then open the taps up. They'll cough, they'll splutter as they force the air out. Wait until they're running freely and then close, and the system will then fully pressurise. Throughout this motorhome you will find little grey gas isolation taps for all the appliances. They can be left alone, they are more for maintenance than anything else. I always say if you smell gas in the van, go to the source and turn the gas bottle off. If we now close this back down and put the cushions back on again, I will now demonstrate how to make the beds. So with the rear double, it is just a matter of slightly lifting up and then pulling out like so, and then exactly the same on the other side. I personally flip the cushions over, but it is just down to personal comfort. But it is then just a matter of pulling the cushions across like so. You will see that once you've got the cushions into position that you have a small gap just down the edge there. You are supplied with this slim fold out infill that will then just slot down the side. With the front bed, we first need to remove the table that I've already done. This then drops into this point just here, like so. We then have this grey infill that then squashes into the gap, like so. We then have what I class as like a large single. Just basically remove the two backrests if you need extra length, but it's ideal for a child. Or if you're going to use it as a double, again, we lift and slide out. And again we drop in and we have a small gap again, and this fold out infill here fills the gap here. You can either go in this bit here or fully slide across and drop it in wherever you want. There's no right or wrong. Now the dinette is all put back together again. If the electric bed above it was to malfunction, it can be wound up or down manually, and that's what this winding tool is for. As you can see, there's a small little hole just there. This then locates through there onto the nut, and then it can wind the bed up or down.